Pausa rapidinho agora para falar de dica de ouro para os papais e mamães. Depois de experimentar a nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha, tudo ficou ainda melhor pro meu filho. É a única com canais em X que se adaptam aos movimentos, com 2 vezes proteção noturna e cintura elástica que se adapta ao corpinho do bebê, além de ser super fácil de colocar e tirar. Praticidade pura. Então guarda essa dica. Nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha. Bebê, estamos juntos nessa, mais do que nunca. Agora curta seu podcast.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dr. Homebrew. Today is a good episode because, number 1, I get to drink a smoke beer. Number 2, I didn't make it. So, number 3, you know it's going to be great. And in fact, it is. It's probably the king smoke beer. It's the Schlenkerla Rauch beer, the Märzen Brauerei Heller Bamberg. And everybody knows this beer. This is the classic example smoke beer. So we're going to be drinking that today on the show and sort of doing commercial calibration, running through it, seeing what we like, what we don't like, you know, if we were going to brew this, how would we do it, blah, 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 all that other stuff. But first, we are going to be drinking yet another homebrew of mine. And this is the thing about me now. I'm a homebrewer again, everybody. I made an English mild ale a couple weeks ago. And it's great. It's beautiful. I love it. I tried it again. I used a little bit of the notes that you guys gave me for my ESB. I'm not going to tell you what, and applied it here, and I think it was a definite improvement. Even though it's not the same beer, I could definitely tell the effort was made to focus on a couple, 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, like don't put gym socks in your beer.
Well, yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I floated a turd in it. I didn't tell you guys that until you drank it. But anyway, so we're going to get to that. But before we do, I want to thank our fine sponsor, 5 Star Chemicals. That's right. Go to 5starchemicals.com right now and learn about the absolute best way to clean and sanitize your homebrewing equipment. And then while you're there, go to their Homebrew Club program. It's right up there off their website, and sign up for it today. You will not be disappointed. You get exclusive discounts off 5-star products. Sometimes you can even get free products from them. You get monthly educational seminars, and you can get free stuff from them as well. And of course, with HomebrewCon coming up, 2 months? Something like that? Cooper, you're going.
Yeah, late June. Don't
forget to stop by if you're going to go, if you're going to brave HomebrewCon, which I don't know why you would. Go by the 5-star booth. Say hi. Thank them personally for their support of the show. Tell them how much you really appreciate content like this, because they're the reason we're here, everybody. So thank you, 5-star, very, very much.
Yeah, use that stuff. It works.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude. Man, I bummed me out. I ran out of PBW the other day. I was actually, when I was cleaning out my my growlers to give you guys some of this beer, I ran out of PBW. Forgot about that. So I had to use some like off-brand stuff that I got way back with Pico Brew shit.
God.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. So I so I didn't have any PBW. So I used the whatever the hell I got. And then I let that soak for like double the time. And then I used a little bit more Star San than I normally would. And then, really let that soak in a lot, because I know that Star San will get the things. It'll neutralize everything. It might not lift like PBW does. It's not its job, but it will sanitize. So I wasn't worried about it, but I was a little like, I feel a little smeggy right now giving these things to you guys, but they're fine. I'm sure it's all right. Yeah. Anyway, who wants to start my praise machine? Who wants to start the JP beer praise train?
Well,
I'll let you guys decide.
I don't know, Cooper, whatever you want to do, man.
Go for it, Brian.
All right. So, JP, thanks for this beer. Are you in a homebrew club?
No, man. I have 2 wolves inside of me, and they're both lone wolves.
He runs.
No.
Yeah, actually,
the one you feed is the one that you get, but you feed the lone wolf because they're both lone wolves.
Sure, man. Yeah.
Technically, he owns a homebrew club.
Yeah,
Or
no,
is
I
it
don't know. No
he's
way.
part
No.
manager.
Nope, not even that, man. I'm a cog in the machine just like you.
So, yeah, you're a dapper Dan around town, is what you are. You're a man on your own.
Sure. Yeah.
free and easy. So, bottle inspection. Well, it wasn't a bottle; it was a growler, and thank you for that. I need to give that back to you as
Yeah, I was
well
gonna
as
say.
the other one.
Yeah.
Because Brett Cooper and I are slowly sucking up all your small growlers here.
Yeah, you are.
It's a mild hiss on the opening, which is good.
Okay, good. I was a little worried.
Aroma, yeah. First thing I noticed was you were mentioning earlier there was a turd floating in there, and I was like, I got that enteric kind of fecal thing.
There you go.
And that was there's no enteric, no fecal anything in this. This was low malt aroma, no apparent hop aroma. The malt aroma was kind of that classic, what I think of as the nutty aroma, and I think it's partly the malt and partly the British yeast. And sometimes the British styles will take that flavor, whether it's malt derived or yeast derived, and to me just kind of push that up to 11, 12, 13. And at that point, to me, it's not pleasant. This beer, I mean, that nutty, when I think it was that nutty character, was just at the right level to be tasty and to smell great. And to be really right where it needed to be. No off aromas, 10 out of 12. Appearance, 3 out of 3. Medium head settles quickly. I poured this a while back, so you're not getting a huge. But I mean, to me, that's low head and that's persistence. What you're seeing in your glass there, JP.
Yeah, I poured this at the beginning of the last show, so this has been sitting here for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep,
still got a little bit left, and it's low carbonated too.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. It's clear, medium brown with reddish notes, 3 out of 3. The flavor initially nutty malt with a hint of caramel. Get some bread crust in there, not like a real dark bread or a real dark crust, but just more of a maybe medium toasty, lightly toasty bread crust. And toast is the wrong word, but maybe that type of character with a bread that's not like a rye bread or like a really baked really hard bread, but more of the like a medium Lovabond color on that crust, if that makes any sense at all, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's low hop bitterness, which balances in mid palate. Finish is clean, long, and balanced between the malt and the hops. It's well attenuated, no off flavors. Give it 16 out of 20. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. Body's low, carbonation's low, but it's not watery. Right? And that's a thing that sometimes you have a real low gravity beer, whether it's a mild or something else, and sometimes you have a low gravity beer that's even higher alcohol, higher gravity than a mild, and it'll come across watery because it's just there's not a lot there, and everything gets attenuated out. This manages to have. This shouldn't have more than a low body, but a low body is body, and it's not watery. And this is exactly what you want from the body, from something this degree of alcohol and this gravity. It's creamy. There's no warming, no astringency. Again, 5 out of 5. Overall impression 9 for a total of 43.
Whoa!
Which is excellent, almost outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm angling for Cooper's job. No, no, actually, I'm angling to not have Cooper's job. This is really a wonderful beer. Very flavorful and interesting, despite the fact it's low gravity. It's the attraction of these beers is that they're tasty, and they smell great, and they're good to drink, and you can drink them for hours with your friends at the pub. And not be smashed, and also enjoy it, and not just be like, oh God, I've got one more, American light lager that's getting warm in front of me. This is exactly what you want from the style, I think. So well done, man. Thank you for sharing.
All right, thanks. All right, Cooper, you're next.
Well,
Let's go.
I hate to break it to you, but yeah, Brian's just flat out wrong.
Oh man, bummer, dude. Never would have thought.
Yeah, I think you gave it the courtesy 13.
Gotta go back to that.
I would love that. I would really appreciate that. The most polarizing beer that you guys can't even get within 7 points.
48 and 13.
Yeah. I just basically drew a picture of a turd on the score sheet.
Yeah.
And I wrote 12 on the bottom, and then I crossed it out and wrote 13 just because I have to.
Note to judges, don't actually do that.
Oh God!
There will always be an asterisk by this score in the record books.
That's right.
I shouldn't say I was surprised because you listen to us on the regular and you get all this good advice all the time. Like I knew this day would come.
Yes,
you gave us a kick-ass beer. In the nose, there's a light nutty quality. Agreed. Right up front. Also, by the way, the growler you gave me your rare barrel, the Founders Edition.
That's the original one too for the first edition. Before they had the handle on it, yeah.
Really rad growler, and this one has the handle on it. But
that's right. No, they took the handle off because people were breaking it. That's right. But that is the first year they did that, so don't lose it.
I like the handle, and you're not getting this back. I won't lose it. I'll just keep it forever.
Yeah, I'll lose it. Okay, got it.
I'll get you your growlers back.
Of course you will. I know where you live. Man. I know where you live.
I'll give you a bunch of growlers while I'm at it too. I'll just give you a case of those.
Oh God, please don't. No, I don't want to do it.
I probably have some for you too, man.
Yeah. Low, clean, chocolatiness up there with the nuttiness. Very faint, earthy hop. It doesn't have to have any hop, but a little bit sometimes can help add some balance. Esters are low and in check, not invading the flavor profile. You shouldn't be too fruity on this one, but a little English yeast character with the fermentation that it went through. It's fine. No diacetyl or DMS. It's very clean and inviting. No alcohol poking through, nothing weird. Appearance-wise, it's a rich brown color. It appears to have good clarity as viewed at, as I'm looking at it with the light here, I can see through it better. It's very clear, actually. Not just at the, well, I couldn't see it earlier where I was sitting.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Had a low, well-formed head of creamy, light tan bubbles. They persevere nonetheless, despite the low, assumed low carbonation level. The beer really does also coat the glass as it goes down, and it's coated it kind of all the way down as I was tasting it. And I did drink the whole sample. Flavor wise, it's malt balanced with a nutty, lightly chocolatey balance, I guess, to it, and fairly very clean, faintly roasty in there. It's just a good mix of really interesting malt characters to deliver. Hey, there's a substantial amount of malt in here, but nothing's like poking through really sharply. Just that, primarily nutty, little chocolate, little very faint roast, but not in a harsh way. Just a good mix. Bitterness is low to style. The chocolate lingers in the aftertaste, kind of warm chocolate, hot chocolate, low earthy hop, not very fruity. Has a semi-dry finish that suits the beer well. Some of these can be on the sweeter side. This one's not, I wouldn't call it, medium sweet or semi-sweet. It's just like, and it's not bone dry. It's just kind of semi-dry. I agree with Brian here too. It's not watery in the mouthfeel, or the flavor doesn't come across as just, this is just a little malt mixed with water, and just not enough of it. There's enough there to keep it interesting and keep you wanting another sip. Clean ale fermentation, no defects noted there. 16 out of 20 for flavor, full points appearance. Mouthfeel wise, medium light bodied with medium low CO2. It's not too much for the style, but I'd say it's probably toward the edge. Like, you might have pushed up the carbonation to make sure it had some in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. Because I keep it about 8, which works pretty well for my system. And then, I think I bumped it to like 15 for about an hour while I let because those growlers are ceramic. so that those
Mhm.
hang out in the fridge so they could like because they were
Yeah.
warm, right, or room temperature.
Mhm.
So let them cool down a little bit. So yeah, and then I think even Cooper, you got the second. I think that's the second. I forget which one was the first one.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, I definitely upped it. So I made sure that there was enough, carbonation because I didn't want it to be.
Yeah. You don't want to lose
too
that in
flat.
packaging
Yeah.
for the competition beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job there. So yeah, it's on no warmth, obviously. There's some creaminess there, but it's low. It's not biting, harsh, or astringent at all. It's actually really quite smooth. And again, not watery or just too light. Feels substantial enough. Yeah, overall, it's a very well crafted, dark, mild ale with a good malty presence and a fairly dry finish. It all plays well together. It could also play nicely with just a hint more sweetness and a touch less CO2. But I would say there's no need to increase the malt complexity. What you have here, you've done a nice job with it for such a delicate beer. I scored it a 41. We didn't adjust our scores. That's just where we landed.
Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. You both can continue being on the show.
Yeah.
Cool. I know. I appreciate it. This was fun to do. And so what I did, and I'll get through the recipe in a second, but the adjustment that I made was I took what you guys are saying about the ESB and that it wasn't really the yeast, which is the West Yorkshire ale yeast, wasn't really fruity enough, or there wasn't really a whole lot of yeast character. And I thought you guys thought that maybe I fermented a little too cold. So this one I was sure to ferment at like 70, 68, 70, something like that, instead of like 64. And I think it really helped. There is definitely a more robust character to the beer than was in the ESB. So that's basically what I did.
Well, I think every degree, sometimes you get like a multiple increase of, like sometimes tenfold more esters or something.
You can go too far with it.
Each couple of degrees. So yeah, don't go too crazy with that.
Yeah.
That was a good place to take it, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So the recipe, very simple, and honestly, it's brewing classic styles mild ale. So if you have that, you don't have to listen to me prattle on.
It's a good recipe.
Yeah, it's 84.8% pale two-row malt, which is Golden Promise. 6.1% Crystal 60. Okay, so here's the problem. I used British Crystal. I think it's 50-60 from More Beer, but I don't want to sit and fucking put it into Beersmith, so I just put Crystal 60. So anyway, 6.1% 50-60, 4.5% Crystal 120, and then 3% pale chocolate malt, and 1.5% black patent.
Just
Really?
a tiny
You
bit.
put black patent in here.
I didn't want to do it
Why'd you do it then?
because that's what the recipe said.
Okay.
And that's the only reason. I don't like that, but and it came out pretty good.
It's part of what gives it that faintly, smoke, not smoky, but the roastiness there inside that beer. Yeah. Without it, I think it wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, I think what I would do. Oh, there's a secret ingredient too. So you guys know I make chocolate at home, right?
Yes.
And so what I did is I've talked about this on the show, but sometimes I'll get the chocolate beans, and I'll shell them myself because it's cheaper and it's something fun to do. It's like my fidget spinner. I'll sit and just like pry the shell off, and they're like papery, shells. You smell them, and they smell. I do want to culture yeast off them because I think there's got to be some bacteria on there that smells great because they ferment these fucking things, right? And the shells smell chocolatey cocoa powder, but they also smell kind of like a sour beer. They smell very tart. So I took 2 handfuls of those and I put them on top of the sparge on the last like 5 minutes of the sparge. And playing with these,
very interesting.
Yeah, and playing with these shells before, like I use them on top of my coffee. I do the same thing in my coffee sometimes, and I find that they highlight the chocolate parts, the cocoa parts of like my coffee, but they apply this sort of bright, tart fruitness as well. And I think that's what's going on here, where I think it's maybe there's a more perception of dryness because there is a tart aspect to it, but I think it imparts a difficult to pin down flavor that I kind of like. It's kind of complex. And I know it's impossible to know what I'm talking about because you guys have never had this before. But next time I see you, I'll throw you some of these, and people just make tea with them. Just like put them in boiling water for like 5 minutes and then drink the tea, and it tastes like cocoa tea. It's good.
It was just a handful though in a
5-gallon batch. Yeah, it was like 2 handfuls. It wasn't much because I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to overpower it because you can also go too far with it, and then it tastes sort of like pu'er tea, sort of like forest floor, kind of funky, and you don't really want it. But
it's
a little
bit
didn't
go heavy it's chances are it didn't do too much, but it might be adding a little bit of complexity.
Right, and that's what I don't know. That's for me is impossible to know. You have no idea, right? Unless you just do it again. But even then, if I brew the same recipe without the stuff in there, recipe variation. I mean, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's my secret ingredient. And I've always wanted to do that, and I finally did, and it was cool. And then anyway, to finish off, hops is 1 ounce of EKG. For 60 minutes. That's it.
Right.
Interesting.
So
now Jamil's going to have to change his recipe in the book when he issues the second edition of Brewing Classic Styles.
That's right.
Because of JP's edition of the secret ingredient.
What degree crystal did you say you used?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask me that. I forget. I think it's 50-60, British 50-60, and then
but you only had 60, you said, I thought.
No, and then I had a 120 in there too, but I can't remember if I used just like the American 120. I think I must have. Yeah. So British 50-60 and then 120.
So that's more like caramel is down like around 30, right?
I think so. Yeah, and caramel malt and crystal malt are different.
Right.
Yeah.
But it different in Lovibond. But I think what's nice about picking that level of crystal is that you kind of maybe were on the edge of caramel, and I think it would be a hint of caramel in this, but it's also not that high Lovibond crystal that comes off super raisiny, which would be, I think, inappropriate in this. It would be raisiny dominated, and I don't think it would have been nearly as good. I think that was a good choice for a selection of a crystal malt.
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely agree. I didn't want that raisiny thing. I mean, that Crystal 60 is only, it's 8 ounces. Or no, Crystal 120 is 6 ounces. And that 120, that's where I think you can run into that problem. But, I didn't really, And I sort of steer away from the American Crystals because of that. Because they can be more raisiny than not. The British, at least, and I wonder if it's just that range, 50, 60.
Yeah.
I mean, and just in and of itself is great.
I'm sure that binning the grains and that's fraught with. I'm sure it's not precisely. I mean, you're getting grain that's X degrees Lovibond. I guarantee you, not every single kernel of that grain is that exactly 160 or 120 or whatever.
Right.
You're getting like an average around a median. Or you're getting something centered on a median that's that number,
right?
Which is why I think picking something like 50 or 60 is good, and going light on that higher crystal is good. Because raisiny, I think, can be a great flavor in a bigger beer.
Yeah.
In a smaller beer, it can just become so overwhelming that it doesn't add complexity. It just makes everything, raisiny and kind of weird tasting.
Yeah,
well, the beer can have a little bit of raisiny or licorice. But it shouldn't be overpowering.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. And I do like a sort of middle of the road, dark, mild. I think what I would do next time, all deference to Jamil, but I would increase the pale chocolate. I mean, it's 4 ounces. I would probably go 5 because I really like it. And maybe I would bump I hesitate to say bump the base malt up a little bit because it's already, I think it's like 4.5%. I don't really want to go too high. I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I think I would want, I don't want it to finish as dry as it did. I mean, it was like 10-10 or 10-12 or something like that. It's only like a 10-45 starting gravity. So it's not like that much, but I want to try to figure out how to kill it sooner. I don't want it to go below 10-10 or 10-12. I think would be sort of my limit on that. So how do you do that? How do you stop a ferment? If I have this in mind, I want this I want 4.5%, 4.1% ABV. Finish at 10-12. When do you stop it? How do you do that as a home brewer?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to want to sorbate it and sulfite it or something. That's just going to be weird. You can stop a fermentation in a mead.
You just crash it. You just like take a reading and go, okay, that's what it is, and then just slam it down.
Yeah, but you might have some diacetyl left in it that didn't get reabsorbed too.
Right,
you kind of want to let it finish out.
So how would I ride this line? What would you recommend I do now that you know what I would want in a beer? I want a little bit more oomph out of it.
Maybe using just on the lighter side of the ideal pitch for it, not like lightening up so much that you get a sluggish fermentation, but the yeast isn't going to have a real big challenge here anyway.
Right.
So if your pitch was like over pitch, then it probably is going to dry out towards that 1008 side. And
it was just Y yeast smack pack.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah. I don't fuck with starters anymore, man. That's
just,
fucking no, man. I don't want to do it.
Take it out of the fridge and smack it, right when you have an hour left to pitch it or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
You'll have plenty of cells for that 5-gallon batch, I'm sure.
Yeah. Maybe
So
stress
like
it a little bit or something.
10:30. Not stress it, but you want to take care of the yeast and pitch it as it, at the same temperature as the beer as best possible. But
I mean, is it just bumping up the specialty malts, the non-fermentables, a little bit? But then I don't want to throw the flavors out of whack.
You could use a little dextrin malt, perhaps, but I don't know. It's a trick.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, dextrin malt is, I don't know. If people use it and they like it, I don't think it's necessarily bad. But I think when Brian, when you was talking about a trick, that might be, maybe a good characterization of that.
Yeah. You can back sweeten a beer by adding, stuff back in, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
You don't really want to do that either.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, you know what?
It's hard.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to try it without the shells in, because I really do think that there is some impression of a dryness there that I don't want.
Yeah. What was the yeast again?
The West Yorkshire, Y yeast West Yorkshire. Apparently Jamil's go-to English ale yeast. You won't use anything else. So if you read the books and you go, oh, it says WLP 002, that's not it anymore. It's West Yorkshire die. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I have no questions for you. Do you have any questions for me?
You could make a batch with the 002 and see what happens, but yeah.
Yeah, I could, but at this point, I don't know, man.
This yeast character is good.
I think it's great. Yeah, it tastes good. I'm super happy with it. If I never had to make a change out of this, I would be totally fine with it. I do think it's a little dry. So I'll see if I can tweak it out and brew it again.
You should enter this in a competition. We'll bring you bottles if you.
I can buy bottles. I'm not an invalid. I appreciate it. When's the deadline for NHC, man? I'll brew it again. I don't care. I brewed it on February 13th, for God's sakes.
You're past that now, but
okay. Well, there you go.
There are other competitions coming up.
I don't need another certificate anyways, Yeah, I mean, I could. I don't know. I sort of feel like, I don't know. If it's a cool one, I'll enter it. Like, you know what I mean? If you get a cool prize. Anyway, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to drink a better beer than probably either three of us can brew. Schlenkerla. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. What's up, homebrewers? Hey, let me ask you a question. You spend a lot of time making your beer taste the way you want it to, right? Some of you even send beers into Dr. Homebrew for feedback. Well, the next logical step in your creativity is to craft some labels for those beers. And there's nobody better at creative labels than Grog Tag. Their easy-to-use designs let you turn out some pretty amazing stuff like labels, bottle caps, coasters, even six-pack carriers with minimal effort on your part. They have a range of label sizes that fit any vessel you can think of. Bottles, cans, growlers, kegs. Grog Tag has you covered.
Head over to grogtag.com today and check out their line of amazing, fully customizable templates and get your beer looking its best. Grog tags are water-resistant, reusable, and will have your naked bottles looking great in no time. That's grogtag.com, and be sure to use code BNARMY at checkout to save 10% on your order.
Pausa rapidinho agora para falar de dica de ouro para os papais e mamães. Depois de experimentar a nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha, tudo ficou ainda melhor para o meu filho. É a única com canais em X que se adaptam aos movimentos, com 2 vezes proteção noturna e cintura elástica que se adapta ao corpinho do bebê, além de ser super fácil de colocar e tirar. Praticidade pura. Então guarda essa dica. Nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha. Bebê, estamos juntos nessa, mais do que nunca. Agora curta seu podcast.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Kings.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We are back here, and we have the Schlenkerla. Brian, you're the German guy. Read the label. Echt Schlenkerla Rauchbier.
Okay, yeah, the proper way to
please let both of us say it.
Yeah, you want me to say it in American German or German?
I don't know, man. You can do it French, Cambodian German for all I know.
Yeah, it is the Echt Schlenkerla Rauchbier, and the Märzen style. So the Märzen is the classic Rauchbier style.
Do you mean the Echt Schlenkerla?
Echt. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
We're all just sneezing now. What does the top of the label say? Everyone who knows the label knows it's like sort of like a papyrus or like a script thing. So what is that?
Okay, it means it's expressly brewed by the Bavarian purity law. The Bayerischen Reinheitsgebot entsprechend gebrautes. They've brewed it explicitly to that law. So yeah,
it's funny because now that you mention it, it does say Reinheitsgebot, but it's hyphenated, so it's Reinheits, and then on the second line it's Gebot, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, it just works better.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, okay, there you go. I'm learning how to decipher labels. I've poured this into, of course, 2 different glasses because I need help, and already the smell of the smoke is overwhelming me, and I love a good smoke beer. I will murder 2 or 3 people for a good smoke beer, and I don't know what that is. It's very few people who like a smoke beer. I remember one of the first times I was talking to Stacy Meyer, John Meyer's wife from Rogue. She was like, yeah, people love our smoke beer so much where people will come in and order pitchers of it. A pitcher of smoke beer. And they'll just sit and fucking drink smoke beer all day. And I'm like, I need to be far away from these people. That's too much for me. You need to be
right there in the middle of that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's too much for me. But I love a good smoke beer. I love a good pumpkin beer, too, to be honest with you. So I'm really excited about this. I can smell it. It smells so good in here right now.
I want to back up for a second, and I went on to Google Translate, and if I type "echt" into Google Translate, it comes out in English as "really."
Really, like Schlenkerla smoke beer.
Really Schlenkerla, or the verb. The verb "echten" means to outlaw, proscribe, or ostracize.
No.
And I can't believe that's the context here.
It's echt. It's real. It's
really
genuine.
Genuine. Okay.
Oh, so that's the translation of really comes across like means real. Like it's really Schlenkerla, guys.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, okay.
I love
do
that.
it on Saturday Night Live. It's really.
That's cool.
Echt.
It's certified. It's really real.
Yeah, no,
we're not drunk. We're just having a good time saying this over and over and over again. Try it at home. It's fun. Just say it.
So that's actually the most common usage of it, because if you're talking to somebody, you're like, "Oh yeah, my brother-in-law built the space shuttle and flew to space," and you're like, "Echt?" It's like, really? Oh yeah, he was the primary guy that did that.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking
Oh,
about
that's awesome.
buddy.
I love this beer. Cooper, let's dive into this. Tell me about this beer a little bit. It's the Märzen specifically, because they have a Helles version, I think, right?
Yeah, the Helles is really fun. But yeah, it's brewed in Bamberg, Germany, and the Schlenkerla is, they're working to preserve this tradition of smoked beers in Germany and Bamberg, and it's the all malts used to be, how else, there was no drum kilning, or, they didn't have fancy techniques. You had a fire and you got the malt, that had germinated, you got it to a certain temperature to stop that process. And, I don't know a lot about how things were done away hundreds of years ago, but they made beer hundreds of years ago, and they didn't have fancy kilning techniques like they do today. So all beers were probably a little bit smoky, probably a little bit tart, and when they were fresh they were less tart, but they always probably had a little bit of that smoke character to them in the earlier days. So this is an old traditional kind of thing, and this is
flavors of food in general have had to be so fucking weird because of the same thing. I mean, you're talking about kilning your malts. I mean, what about just cooking your food? Everything had a smoke flavor to it, or maybe not beechwood or intense or whatever, but still, it seems like such a wild, almost sensory overload to think about the way food tasted way back in the day.
It's like, when you eat enough smoked food, foods like smoked meat, you start, I was like, wow, that's intense. But as you eat it, it's less and less.
Yeah, and you won't even notice.
More accustomed to it.
You get nose blind to the aroma, and you get used to the flavor.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this beer to me always smells like summer sausage. Speaking of that, and I like summer sausage, but when if I have two of these, like, I'm not going to do that tonight because it's already 9:30 and I got stuff to do in the morning. But if I had the second one of this, the second one does not taste as smoky as the first one, and that's maybe like JP was talking about, like people drinking a pitcher of smoked beer at Rogue. I mean, that first hour you're drinking it is going to be really smoky. By the time you're about 3 hours in, not because you're drunk, but because your tongue's gotten used to it, it's not going to taste as smoky.
Yeah, even on their website, in the English version of their website, it's the smoked beer is here at the brewery tavern, still being tapped directly from the wooden barrel, according to the old tradition. It's like used to be called the House of the Blue Lion in 1405, and it's run by a family in sixth generation today. But there's a little quote here that says, "Even if the brew tastes somewhat strange at the first swallow, do not stop, because soon you will realize that your thirst will not decrease and your pleasure will visibly increase."
Oh man,
I need to see that in the German and read it.
Yeah, because
oh my God, yes,
it sounds very Japanese translated for some reason, where there's a lot of it's a lot of like emotion in the thing. You don't think of the German language as like caring about how much pleasure you're going to be receiving or whatever.
Maybe we need to go,
they're not. They're saying, like, don't ask questions, just drink it. Drink it. Don't stop. It'll be better later. Just drink it now. That's what they're telling you.
It's funny because I reached out to them years ago. I think when we were doing, what the fuck was it? I think it was a smoke beer brew thing or something we were doing on the session. What were we doing back then? It was like the Brewcaster Brew Off or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. And so I reached out a little bit about their smoke, beer, and they sort of gave me the recipe for their Märzen, but not really. And they're like, look, it's just going to be different because we smoke the malt in the house with a proprietary sort of thing. So we get a more intense flavor than other smoke malts. So you can't just, if you go to the homebrew shop and it's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio of smoke malt from the homebrew store to reenact the Schlenkerla method. It's entirely different.
Because this is made with 100% smoked malt. There's no other malts. It's not, a lot of smoke beer recipes you get, a lot of Rauch beer, it'll have a percentage of smoked malt along with some base malt to get to that nice, so it doesn't get super bacony, sharp, harsh, too intensely campfire-y, like sitting right next to the campfire and inhaling the fumes.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not that at all. But what's nice about this beer is that there are levels to it. The way that they smoke their beer, and then for this Märzen, I don't know, maybe they have some other malts, or maybe they just boil it and get those Maillard reactions or whatever. But there's something about how the smoke is layered in this beer that it's not up front, and you get some domestic craft beer smoke beers where it's like, oh, this is campfire, because people don't really understand the subtleties about smoke malt.
Yeah,
but these people have been doing it since what, 1600s. They know what the fuck's going on. Yeah. It's good.
Well, yeah. So there are definitely, some specialty type malts in this. Their Helles is just going to be a Pils malt probably kind of thing, or, it's definitely just lighter, cleaner malts. This has some amber colored malts in it. I'm not sure. Well, you got the recipe, JP. You said you talked to them.
I did. You know what? Let me try to find it. Let me try. I may have changed.
Or at least what they told you. Yeah.
Yeah, I may have changed in my head what they actually told me, and then now I'm going, oh, well, I know the fucking whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think this is probably brewed with a Vienna or Munich type malt, from their malting procedure, and they would kiln it at similar temperatures. I mean, they're right there, and in Germany, they know how Munich malt is made, and they can make a Märzen and make it malted. This is it's darker than your typical Märzen, I would think, but it has a nice. The head is lasting very well, but yeah, as you taste it, you do get accustomed to that.
Here it is,
flavor.
Okay, dear Mr. Petros, thank you for this. Was back in 2014. Motherfuckers. So what do you think of that? It's almost
9 years.
9 years ago.
Nice.
April 23rd. We're actually coming up on the anniversary, guys. Thank you for your interest in our Eicht Schlenkerla Rauch beer. We use, in fact, 100% Schlenkerla smoke malt made at the Schlenkerla maltings, which is different than the commercially available smoked malts and therefore has a different taste. To achieve the Schlenkerla Märzen color with the standard commercial smoked malts, you might want to include some roast malt. And that's from Matthias. So what is he saying? What is he saying there? Do they kiln their do they take the base malt, separate some off, kiln it darker to make the Märzen, and then smoke it all at the same time? Is that what he's saying?
I don't think that you would put. No, I don't.
You don't think so?
So. In the guidelines, the ingredients, it says a Märzen type grist with the addition of a sizable quantity of German Rauch malts, a beechwood smoked Vienna type malt. So the Rauch malts is Vienna type malt, but you would, now some breweries smoke their own malt, German lager yeast. Okay, the malt.
They also double decoct.
Okay. Yep.
And that's it. Not all details on our recipe can be revealed. I hope for your understanding. Look, Matthias at Schlenkerla, big fucking shouts out. He was like, he was his back and forth exchange and trying to clarify. And I said, I'm just thinking about using the Weyermann smoke malt. And he goes, I don't really have any, history with that. So I don't know, but I think it will be less than ours.
Their malt is different. Yeah.
Their malt is different.
Yeah. So maybe they do use some darker malt to color it. It's starting with a Vienna malt. It is on the darker side for a Märzen. So maybe they're using a small percentage of a darker malt to color it. Can you like a dehusked, debittered malt? Maybe.
Oh yeah, because can you get a color like a Märzen from a double decoction?
Well, the double decoction might increase the color a bit, but also some classic like Czech Pils is supposedly right decocted. So, and they keep
I
that
see.
very,
Yeah. Okay.
very
I mean,
light.
that's a very good point. Yeah.
Can you imagine in Germany, and I kid because I love, and I preface it with this. Can you imagine double decocting in Germany? Yeah, but you must, but I do not want to do this. No, you must do this. It hurts. Yeah. And it will make you strong. And I can just imagine the, people lining up to help double decoct because, it'll make you, big, strong German guy.
That's right.
And thank God they
Right.
do, because this beer tastes amazing.
So I have it in my two glasses. One is, again, straight wall. The other's this weird funky thing from 2004 Vegas Homebrew Con, or actually NHC. This was probably my second NHC, maybe third. And so it's like sort of like a Nonic, like a 10-ounce Nonic glass. 10-ounce Nonic, the smoke in the flavor is much more present than in the straight wall. So all these glasses, they do make a difference, and it depends on what style of glassware you have to what sort of sensory interaction you're going to get. It's very weird. So if you're ever drinking at home, anybody listening, and you don't like the beer or whatever, pour it in a different glass and see if that changes your perception of it. Or vice versa, if you do like it, see if you can find one of your weird glasses like I got, and maybe you can hate it. Sorry, Brian, go ahead. You've been trying to say something for like an hour, and I keep interrupting you.
Oh, which one of us?
You.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Brian, there's no shortage of Brian Shaw opinions on this show.
No.
Well, they do talk about on their website. They have pretty detailed information about brewing the smoked beer. They show germination of the green malt. They show the malt house, the steeping, and the germination and the kilning. Now, in order to stop germination and stabilize the involved biochemical processes, the green malt must be dried, kilned. That is where the secret of the original Schlenkerla smoke beer lies. A beechwood log fire underneath the kiln heats the air, and the smoke gives the malt its typically smoky flavor.
Is it Schlenkerla or is it Schlenkerla? How would you say it as a German?
That's a good question. I'm not sure where the accent lies. I say Schlenkerla, but Schlenkerla, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. No, that's fine, man. Just another dumb question to ask.
Yeah, there's only a couple breweries in the world that nowadays only that smoke their own malt. So, Schlenkerla and Spezial in Bamberg. So, that's it. And they show the grinding and the mashing, all that stuff. Oh, so they show the whole brew process. They got some good pictures on their website. You can take a mini tour. I've never been to Bamberg. I sure would like to go and check it out there. But let's talk about some of the flavors and aromas in the beer. Aside from just the smooth smoke. And now that as we've taken several sips of it and become accustomed to the beer, what are you getting in the nose there, Brian?
Summer sausage.
Summer sausage.
And I'm not. Well, I'm being a little facetious, but really not. I mean, that's when you first pour this beer. First thing I always get out of, and this is consistent year in year out with this beer, is sort of a note of summer sausage, and it takes a little while to have your nose get acclimated to that, to get the malt, other malt or hop aroma or anything else. I mean, in my opinion.
So is the smoke character subtle or strong or somewhere in between?
Very strong.
And is it smoky, woody, or bacon-like? What would you call it?
I would call it between smoky and bacon-like. It's not bacon. It's summer sausage, but it's not just smoke. I mean, there's what I think of as a meaty component to it, but not in the sense of like, oh God, those bacon beers people tried to make like 10 years ago with actual bacon. Never put meat in beer.
No,
but there's
Bacon's overrated, man. Sorry. Bacon's good, but it's overrated.
Maybe. But the thing, I wouldn't call this bacony, but it's maybe between meaty and smoky, if that makes
It's like
sense.
an umami. I get a woodiness in it though, like smelling
Oh,
the log, like
like
the
sometimes you get
outer layers.
Yeah, like a prickly sensation when you smell like a bright wood being burned on a fire. It's definitely not meat smoke. It's not like a hickory smoke, or it's not a sweet smoke. It's a very bright. A bright smoke.
Like when someone just puts a log on a roaring fire, and they just put a fresh new log on there, and you get that sort of charge of new smoke and with a sap and whatever. That's kind of what that smells like to me.
Yeah, not that I have a log. Not in the sense that you think that I said that I have a log. It's weird because there's a depth of character in that smoke too. Some of these other smoke malts are sort of like one dimensional, whatever. But there is it's like a live scent. It is like you're at a fire, and it's like you said, Brian. It's you just put a log on, and there's the old wood burning, and the new smell, and the brightness, and it pops up, and whatever. It's very complex. It's a very complex smell.
I don't want people to get the sense that it's too sharply smoky and harsh. It's not. It's really actually smooth underneath, and the beechwood, the beechwood fires that they use to kiln this, I think it produces a less stringent, biting, like harsh smoke than you would get from something like an oak. They actually have an Eiche beer that is the oak version of this, and it's a different animal, and I've had it, and it is much more intense than I don't care for it as much as I do for the beechwood smoked version. So so you can get a little floral, spicy hop in this. I'm not really able to detect any hop underneath all the smoke that's here, but I'm sure there likely is some hop here.
Yeah, there has to be. Their website is rad. And so I'm on it right now, and there's a picture of all these cords of beechwood, half split logs or whatever. And underneath it says, "Lagering of beechwood logs." And I'm like, fuck, that's the most German sentence in the entire universe. I don't know, lagering of beechwood, because I mean that's what it is, right? It's aging of the logs. They don't mean lagering in the sense that we mean it, but it's like, I don't know, man. Just those two sort of like the cultures clashing in translation. I like it. I don't know. It's very cool.
The German verb lagern just means to store. That's all it means. So you're storing, you're aging the logs or the beer, and let's age everything and do this right.
God, I want to go here. Oh my God.
This beer can range from let's do a Dr. Homebrew trip. I'll go deep amber to cover brown range. The head's actually pretty impressive. It sticks around cream. This one's kind of a light tan colored. You can get a little, kind of a cream color to a rich tan head. And again, it says, even in the guidelines, it says it's often a little darker than the underlying Märzen style. Flavor wise, generally follows what we're talking about in aroma. It's a blend of smoke and malt, and you should get some of both. Sometimes the smoke wins. But I would say too, like, you want to look at the quality of the smoke, and sometimes if you get you wouldn't if you're making a classic Märzen, I think you would just be ill-advised if you tried to use something like a cherry wood smoked malt or something really harsh or intense in that, and blend it down to get just the right amount of smoke. The character of the smoke would be wrong, because cherry wood is just more acrid and pungent to me. Oak smoke is harsher too. The beechwood smoke, you have to have that, and there's I doubt they release their malt into the wild and let people brew with it. If you could try to approximate this beer, it's probably hard. We should look at the Brewing Classic Styles and see what Jamil did there. But he went to Bamberg and got the real stuff.
I would love to go to Bamberg one of these days, but that's not possible for everyone, or even something everyone wants to do. It can be hard to drag your family to someplace they've never heard of in Germany so you can drink smoked beer. But still, that would be a thing I'd love to do.
So I mean, yeah, most of the flavor notes in this are about the smoke and so finish wise is medium dry to dry. Lets the smoke character kind of come out over the top of that. And it sometimes also enhances that.
I'm going to keep interrupting you, Cooper, because the more I dig around on this page, the more I'm in love with this brand. And I've also had a few beers.
Yeah, I love the website.
They distill this beer. You can get distilled Schlenkerla schnapps, schnapps aged on smoke malt, or just a half liter of schnapps. Like I would absolutely.
Are you serious?
Yes, I would. I wouldn't die. I would kill Brian Schaar for this beer. For some of this distilled.
I'd probably kill me for some of that.
They have
Holy cow.
an oak smoked Doppelbock, smoked wheat beer, smoked Bock beer, a Lent beer which is smoked and unfiltered. They have a low alcohol beer. They have a pale lager. Dude, they have. I don't know. Sorry, I'm fanboying over here, and I shouldn't be.
If you go under current news on their front page, April 23rd, German Beer Day, celebration of the Bavarian purity law for beer, which was declared in April 23rd, 1516.
Jesus, dude. Well, you know what? July 23rd, we should do something for our July recording. July 23rd
if we went there, then you could have.
It's Smoke Beer Preservation Day.
Yeah.
When apparently on the 23rd of July in 1635, the first smoke-free malt drawing machine was patented. As a consequence, smoke-free beer became dominant all over the world. That's what killed smoke beer. Yeah, the smoke-free malt drying machine. And the original smoke beer was turned into a rare, almost extinct speciality. Only in Bamberg, the traditional firekin was continuously preserved.
Yeah.
Cool,
so
man.
They really celebrate tradition. So on the April 23rd, you can go there, and that day they serve their pale Schlenkerla lager, especially unfiltered draft that day. So as a special, we will serve this for you.
And they got a great history of beer. Okay, I'm closing this. I'm going to stop because I'm never going to, Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I need to. I'm looking through some of this with their links. Apparently, Bamberg is called Little Venice, and you can do like a Venice gondola tour through Bamberg with because it's right on some river or some shit.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I need to. Justin will pay for us to go and generate like a bunch of content.
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm sure. All right, Cooper, go ahead. Let's continue.
Okay.
No more interrupting.
All right. So the beer should be cleanly smoky. You don't want it to taste ham-like or bacon-like if you're making a Rauch beer. You don't want it to veer into this greasy range. Anything meat-like, it's going to be a little too rough for it. But rubbery, harsh, charred, acrid. You don't want any of that creosote. Just should be clean, smooth smoke. I have no idea how they do it to keep it so smooth, but it's a combination of the beech wood and the way they run that filter the smoke through the malt to do the heating that they need to do to kiln it and get it stop the germination process. The style Rauch beer literally means smoke beer in German, and there's not a whole lot of traditional ones anymore. Spezial and Schlenkerla, however you say it. Yeah, wow. That's interesting. The smokeless smokeless malt drying machine in 1600s.
And it's patented. I need to find out more about that. Given
this
that,
is our
I'm
enemy.
a patent attorney.
Yeah, their enemy. They probably have like on their walls in the brewery like pictures of that machine with an X to it.
They're looking at these brands. Not to interrupt you further, but the Good Beer Store near my old house, they have like 2 or 3 or 4 of these varieties of Schlenkerla, and I should grab some of those, and we can maybe do another show sometime, maybe in July, and talk about maybe one of the lagers or the Urbach or something like that.
It would be fun to get some of the Spezial or a good commercial American version of Rauch beer.
Yeah, I wonder if like the House Stout in Redwood City, which is the German store that tends to have really fresh German beer that they fly the bottles in rather than put them in the containers and take forever. they probably have. I'll maybe next time I'm over there, I'll try to poke around and see what I can get for us.
Yeah, do that.
Sounds good. Yeah. So this beer, it's a medium strength beer, 4.8 to 6%. Gravity starts 1050 to 1057 ish and finishes out 1012 to 1016.
So what's that ABV?
4.8 to 6.
God. Well,
it does.
Oh, okay, 4.8 to, that's a big range. What is this? What's the Schlenkerla? 5.1 it says.
5.1. Yeah.
And that's what I love about this beer. It's so flavorful for a 5% beer.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. I'm going to marry this beer. You know, like those people who like marry the Eiffel Tower and fucking shit like that? That's going to be me with this beer.
Yeah.
I mean, this head, I just poured it, but look at that. God bless, man.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So what do we think about this beer as far as being to style? I'm pretty sure that it's right up there.
Yeah, if you got a smoked beer like this in a competition, you'd have to give it like a 45 or something or higher.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This would be like a 48.
Yeah. Even, it travels well because the malt is it's not too delicate and there's no oxidation in here. It's going to turn it too gnarly. The smoke character stays clean. I've had bottles of this that have been aged for quite a while and it tastes very close to the same because it's just you're lagering it in the bottle even longer and it's
Yeah, we bought this a month ago, something like that. It's been hanging in our fridge. This makes me want to go buy more and just kind of sit on it. Like I love this beer. The problem I have with smoked beer, and this one too, to a certain extent, is there is like a prickly. It's hard to explain, man. But like you remember playing Battleship, where like every once in a while your pad would be dotted with like misses from the person. It's like that. It's like my palate gets sort of poked in certain places with the kind of spikiness of the malt, and sometimes it's not great. And I wonder if it's just I want to find the right glassware for this, and I want to use like their wheat beer glass that they have, and maybe that's it. But I don't know. That's I will say that is a thing that I have with this beer, where sometimes it's a little pokey, but that Märzen underneath has to be solid to make this work. You can't just smoke anything and be like, oh, it's the fucking best beer ever. Like the base beer in and of itself has to be on point.
Yes.
And it is. Yep. It's a great beer.
They know what they're doing there.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. We're going to wrap it up and all that kind of funky stuff. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for sticking around. Sorry, Cooper, I cut you off once again, but I'm sure you had all intentions of letting me do that.
No, that's cool.
Something like that. So go ahead.
Well, the smoked beer is fun to taste, and I'm glad we did this one. Finally, I almost feel like we did it before, but we probably have just had some homebrewed smoked beers on here.
Yes.
I tried to look back and see if we had done it before, but I've done it in a number of my judging classes, and I've got a beer judging class coming up. We're doing a course for the Mad Zymergists and getting a lot of our common instructors, but doing it over Zoom this time. But this is one of the beers that I'll always break out for people. Like, get this beer and let's taste it together. And it's a real eye-opener. Some people love it. Some people aren't ready for it, and they may, think they hate it. Mm-hmm. But, sometimes they come around. And when I first had it, wow. It's like, wow. Really? That's a beer style? Okay.
It's a beer that you have to, it's, okay, sort of like sour beers, where you can't just judge it on the first sip. You got to go 2 or 3.
Right.
This, you got to wait until that smoke flavor sort of balances out in your mouth, I think. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. You can't take it on the first hit or even the second. Like you got to go 4, 5, 6 sips in before everything balances out, and the Märzen underneath comes through, that rich malt comes through also, and then the smoke becomes more of a background player than a foreground player.
Right. And I wonder too, if you spend a couple of weeks in Bamberg, and if by the end, is it like, oh, this tastes like beer? just tastes like Märzen.
Yeah, what Vinny would call it a lupulin threshold shift for hops. What would he call it for smoke? You know what I mean?
Rauchkreep.
Yeah, Rauchkreep, dude. There you go.
There would be a word in German that's like 800 letters long.
Yeah, with mostly consonants.
For that, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Rauchkreep, I think, just is the entire country of Germany. I'm just kidding. I don't know any Germans. Yeah, great beer. And honestly, the more I drink it, like the sweeter it gets because that Märzen is becoming not more dominant, but more present.
Yeah, I'm tasting the sweetness of the malt in there.
Yeah, but sometimes
hops now.
But sometimes on the exhale, that smoke can sometimes accentuate the sweetness of the malt, and sometimes I'm gonna admit, as much as I love this beer, and I've been blah blahing for 20 minutes on it, sometimes it's not great in the sense that it's overwhelming sensory wise for me. It can be. Because I don't know if I can live off this beer. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can take I don't know if I can share a pitcher with 2 or 3 other dudes. Like I don't know if I could do that.
If we were in Bamberg, we would have to.
Well, if we were in Bamberg, I would force it. But I also feel like there's more of a cultural, I don't know. I don't want to say acceptance, but lifeline where you have your pretzels or your other bar food, or you can take a break and get something else to cleanse your palate, I guess is what I'm saying. It's more integrated, I think, where here it's more of a novelty. Whenever a brewery has a smoke beer, it's like, oh sure, why not? It's a one-off. But I think there I would assume that it's more present and more prevalent than not, and so it's maybe there's accoutrement to go with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like you go to certain parts of Belgium and, France, you have farmhouse ales, you have your sours, and it's just a part of what they do there. I mean, they have other beers as well, but I mean, you got to go to Westflatter, and it just, if you go to Belgium, like you go, man. I'm not good at saying that one either, but
no.
Go to the Flemish region, you gotta have those Flanders Reds from the source at the.
No, I'll skip that. That's all for you. That's more for you. Yeah, I don't like a Flanders Red, man. It's too sweet. I don't like them.
Yeah,
yeah, well, like Rodenbach. I can't stand it, dude. Can't do it. I'm like the one guy who
Rodenbach is sometimes the Belgians. They back sweeten with whatever they the saccharin or the sucralose or whatever, and it can be a little overwhelming sometimes with some of those.
Yeah. It's not my thing, but more for you guys, right?
Well, and some of these styles are dying out. They brought back the Grodziskie, the Polish smoked beer.
Yes,
and that
that's my lifeblood.
I've seen some commercial Grodziskies at better beer bars, and at Bottle Taps in Pleasanton, they had some brewed by East Brother in Richmond.
Oh, that's right.
And they make a version of it, and the style died out for a good long time, and was revived, and it's an interesting style that was a regional specialty that died out. There are beers that have died out that we've never tasted that are just lost, and probably some
lost the time, man. Yeah,
lost the time. Yeah. This
All
one's still around, and for now, I think it'll stay around for a good long while yet, because
it's been around since 1405. Like you're not going to kill it. You're not going to kill it. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you want to join the fun, and by the fun I mean send us beer to drink on the show, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com, and not just any beer. I mean, look, if you want to send us a bunch of commercial beer, that's fine. We'll sit and do. You know what? Actually, if you have access to like regional examples of any kind of style that either you want us to drink, to kind of talk about, or that we haven't done, or whatever, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. We'll definitely do that. But if you have homebrew that you want either help with, or you want us to just judge in general, or hey, what category do I enter this in, or how can I improve this, or whatever, also email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com, and he will get back to you for sure, and we'll get you on the show, and we'll drink whatever you send us, as long as it's not drain cleaner. That goes to Brian Shar.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
My drains need to be clean.
Your drains need to be clean, right? That's all I meant.
So what's this thing we're doing next week, Brian? There's a special thing for Justin's putting together for us to do. We're going to the studio again.
Yeah, you guys are going to the
couple of weeks from now. It's the end of this month. It's like in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I believe that he and Chris Graham from More Beer both made a beer or two on Brewzilla. I think perhaps for a More Beer video. And we're going to be.
I think they're entering NHC is what they're doing.
That's right.
Yeah, they like to enter NHC together.
So we're doing the tasting notes on those beers, I guess.
Yeah,
so
one
should be a lot of fun coming up.
One's a pale and one's a doppelbock. So you boys will be in the studio. I will be safe and sound in my bubble at home. But you and Chris Graham and Jay will all be in the studio. And that'll be hard to manage the show, but I think we'll be fine. I think I'll do a great job.
You could manage the show when we were at Club Doze and you were remote. So
well, that's true. Yeah, but
it's able to manage us.
But that's my personality against everybody else. Like then now it's going to be me and Jay head to head. Mono. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that'll be cool, man. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I think that'll be neat.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Yeah,
should be good listening. We'll see. Hopefully, good beer too.
Well, hopefully, we'll see. You never know. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in again. I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later.